Hello and welcome to Indus News live from Islamabad. I am Munib Parmith with the news of this hour. Let's begin with the top stories first. Iran has officially blamed its regional arch foe, Israel, for attacking the Natanz nuclear facility. Iran state media says Foreign Minister Javad Zarif has pledged to take revenge from Tel Aviv for damaging Tehran's nuclear infrastructure. Zarif said Israel wants to impede the progress made to remove sanctions imposed on Iran by the US. India has yet again reported record single-day COVID-19 cases of nearly 170,000 and six-month high deaths of over 900. Pakistan has registered more than 4,500 cases and 58 deaths overnight, taking the tally to 15,501. Globally, the virus has claimed 2.93 million lives and infected over 135 million others. The United States says China's failure to provide access to global health experts made the COVID-19 pandemic worse. In an interview, Secretary of State Antony Blinken accused Beijing of not sharing information in real time to provide true transparency. He said it is important to get the bottom of the origin of the novel coronavirus. Ukraine says a soldier has been killed and another wounded in artillery fire from Russia-backed separatists in the country's east. Earlier, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken said there will be consequences if Russia acts aggressively. Russia has warned of military intervention to protect its citizens in the region. Well, these were the top stories. News in detail after a short break. Stay with us. Welcome back. Now let's have the news in detail. Let's start from Iran, which has officially blamed regional arch foe Israel for attacking the Natanz nuclear facility. The state media says Foreign Minister Javad Zarif vowed to take revenge from Tel Aviv. Zarif said Israel wants to impede progress made to remove US sanctions on Iran. Hours earlier, Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu also said Tel Aviv is fighting Iran's nuclearization. However, he refrained from making a direct reference to Natanz. Iran's flagship nuclear plant suffered a catastrophic loss of power in an apparent cyber attack on Sunday. Now, South Korea's Prime Minister Chang Say-kyung says Seoul will cooperate with Iran to solve the issue of releasing Iran's monetary assets. At a joint press conference with Iran's Vice President in Tehran, Chang Say-kyung said his visit indicates South Korea's will to expand ties with Iran. Meanwhile, Iran's Vice President Ishaq Jahangiri called on Seoul to release Iran's foreign exchange resources as soon as possible. He urged the Korean government to compensate for problems incurred on Iran in recent years with its practical measures.
Unfortunately, the blocking of more than $7 billion of Iran's financial assets by South Korean banks, which has been obtained through the legal and legitimate sale of petroleum products and liquid gasoline to South Korea, has caused a decline in the relations of the two countries.
Seoul-Tehran ties have been strained by US sanctions, which caused a drop in Iranian exports to South Korea. Now, India has reported record high daily cases yet again as nearly 170,000 people tested positive overnight. In the last 24 hours, the country reported more than 600 deaths, the highest figure in 6 months. Globally, the virus has claimed 2.9 million lives and infected over 135 million people. More about the pandemic in this report. As the nations scramble to vaccinate their populations against COVID-19, new challenges pop out of nowhere. India has imposed a ban on the export of antiviral drug remdesivir and its active pharmaceutical ingredients amid a record surge. Top Chinese officials admit that The efficacy of the domestically produced Sinovac vaccine is just over 50%. Beijing is now formally considering mixing vaccines as a way of further boosting immunity. Meanwhile, a real-world study has found that the South African variant may evade protection provided by the Pfizer jab as well. Japan has kicked off the inoculation campaign for its 36 million elderly people.
If exports from the EU go smoothly, I understand that we can expect to deliver vaccines, enough for all the 36 million elderly people to get 2 doses each by end of June. We will closely work with local municipalities and will make our utmost effort to arrange inoculation system so that inoculations can be done in the shortest possible period.
In Europe, Germany has administered 12.7 million vaccines so far, but authorities warn the situation is still very serious. United Kingdom Prime Minister Boris Johnson has warned people to continue to take precautionary measures as England prepares to move out of the lockdown. More businesses are opening in what has been dubbed as a major step towards freedom from the pandemic.
I know we've had 2 and we're still going to be sensible, we hope, because we don't want another lockdown. But yeah, no, it's great. It's really great. And more than anything, for businesses to survive through all of this, I think that's the real happiness in getting this place back up and running again.
The U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention says America has administered over 187 million doses so far. But the new cases and hospitalizations are increasing for the 3rd week in a row. Moving on now, the United States says China's failure to provide access to global health experts made the COVID-19 pandemic worse. This comes after the WHO said the data was withheld from its investigators who traveled to China. Secretary of State Antony Blinken accused Beijing of not sharing information in real time to provide true transparency. In an interview, Blinken said it is important to get to the bottom of the origin of the novel coronavirus. He stressed the need for a stronger global health security system to avoid any such recurrence in future. The top U.S. diplomat called on China to play a part in the reforms needed, including commitment to transparency and information access. Meanwhile, Pakistan has reported 58 coronavirus-related deaths in the last 24 hours as its toll tops 15,500. With more than 4,500 new cases, the country's caseload has surpassed 725,000. Out of over 725,000 cases detected so far, more than 634,000 people have recovered. The Health Ministry's data shows that there are currently more than 75,000 active cases across the country. The ministry said the Sindh province has logged the highest number of cases, followed by Punjab. Nearly 5,000 COVID-19 positive patients are hospitalized across the country. Pakistan's Prime Minister Imran Khan is set to deliver the opening statement at the Economic and Social Council Forum today. The Premier will urge the world community to take urgent decisions to respond to the challenges posed by the COVID-19 crisis. The forum aims to mobilize financial support for developing nations to recover from the impact of the pandemic. It is also aimed at achieving sustainable development goals and climate objectives. The forum will end on the 15th of April under the presidency of Pakistan. Now moving to Yemen, where the Arab coalition says it has destroyed 6 explosive-laden drones and a ballistic missile launched by Houthis towards Saudi Arabia. In a statement, the coalition said the hostile attempts are deliberate and systematic to target civilians. It added that it is taking the necessary measures to protect the civilians. Earlier, Riyadh said it destroyed a ballistic missile launched by the rebels towards the southeast city of Jazan. This coincides with intensified fighting for Yemen's Marib, which has claimed the lives of dozens of troops and Houthi fighters. Now, Ukraine says a soldier was killed and another critically wounded in artillery fire from Russia-backed separatists in the country's east. The military says at least 27 soldiers have been killed in the region this year. Hostilities continue to rise in the eastern border town of Donbass amid a Russian troop buildup. Earlier, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken warned Moscow of consequences if it acts aggressively. Russia denies Western claims that it has sent troops into eastern Ukraine to help the rebels. But officials say the army could intervene if Ukraine tries to retake the area by force. Now, protesters have taken to the streets in Myanmar to continue demonstrations against the military coup and violence. Now, more than 700 people have been killed by the security forces since the February 1st coup. The protesters are demanding the release of political leaders and the restoration of a democratic government. Earlier, the European Union said Russia and China were hampering a united international response to Myanmar's military coup. EU's Foreign Policy Chief Joseph Borrell accused Moscow and Beijing of blocking UN Security Council attempts of condemning the coup. In a blog post, Borrell warned the geopolitical competition in Myanmar will make it very difficult to find a common ground. Now, in Ecuador, former banker Guillermo Lasso has pulled off a surprise victory in the presidential runoff against socialist Andre Arauz. Lasso's win puts the country on track to maintaining open market policies rather than return to socialism. The National Electoral Council says Lasso secured 52.5% of the vote compared to Arauz's 47.5%. The council will not formally declare Lasso the winner until after a review of poll statements marked for follow-up. Arauz quickly conceded defeat in a speech very different from his combative tone during the campaign. But Lasso still faces a challenging task in reviving a sluggish economy marred by the coronavirus pandemic. Now, moving on, in Jordan, King Abdullah and his half-brother Prince Hamza have made their first joint appearance since a rift shook the country. They attended a ceremony marking 100 years of Jordan's independence. State media said the monarch and other royal members laid wreaths at a memorial in Amman's Raghdan Palace. Earlier, Prince Hamza pledged allegiance to King Abdullah following mediation by the royal family. He was accused of plotting with foreign entities to destabilize the kingdom. The former heir to the throne denies conspiracy, but he has accused Jordan's leaders of corruption. Now, tropical cyclone SEROJA has wreaked havoc along the Australian western coast. The storm has now weakened a tropical low and drifted towards southeast coastal areas. The cyclone made landfall south of the resort town of Calgary as a Category 3 storm with wind gusts up to 170 kilometers per hour. It tore through townships on Sunday night, leaving a trail of damages and power outages. The Fire and Emergency Services Department said 70% of the structures in Calgary are damaged. Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison said the situation is serious and the full impact of the cyclone is yet not known. More news coming up after a short break. Stay with us. Welcome back. Now, lockdowns due to the COVID-19 pandemic have disrupted people's lives across the world. But the Dutch government has allowed a few roller coaster fans to have some fun as part of an experiment to ease curbs. Roller coaster aficionados in the Netherlands thronged the amusement park in Hellendoorn town. Only 2,000 tickets were offered at the park, becoming the first in the country to reopen since restrictions were enforced. The catch is that visitors must order a ticket online and book a COVID-19 test before entering the park.
What we hope to learn is to see if people are willing to be tested for a day out and how that process works. Is the app working? Does the scanning work? And what does a park do if the screen turns red instead of green? What is then happening in such a process? That's what they wanted to test.
Some of the enthusiasts covered many miles to beat the blues. Visitors say they are more than willing to endure nose swabs to get their adrenaline fix.
There are only a few of those special testing locations, especially for entrance. So with that, you are losing time to travel there. But as I said, 5 seconds, one annoying stick in your nose, and then you're having fun for a whole day. I think it's great that we can go to a theme park at all. Yes, I'm really happy about it.
The park management says around 75% of the tickets were sold with reluctance to get tested as the key reason for the shortfall. Nonetheless, they are hopeful that this drop in sales will be a thing of the past once the lockdown is over. Now, research and drama Nomadland wins big at the BAFTA Film Awards with 4 honours, including the Best Film Gong. More about the awards selected by members of the British Academy of Film and Television Arts in this report. The BAFTAs this year drew particular attention for the diverse range of nominees and the significant rise in the nominations for small budget and independent films. The US research and drama Nomadland, about a community of van dwellers, was the big winner, scooping the Best Film Award. The film's director, Chloe Chow, was also named Best Director, only the second woman to get the accolade in 53 years of the BAFTA history.
Thank you, BAFTA, again. Thank you so much. We would like to dedicate this award to the nomadic community who so generously welcomed us into their lives. They shared with us their dreams, their struggles, and their deep sense of dignity. Thank you for showing us that aging is a beautiful part of life, a journey that we should all cherish and celebrate. How we treat our elders says a lot about who we are as a society, and we need to do better. Thank you again, members of the BAFTA. We hope to see you down the road.
Outstanding British Film Award went to The Promising Young Woman, which also won the original screenplay Gong, while Danish drama Another Round picked up the Best Film Not in the English Language Award. Frances McDormand, the star of the Nomadland, won the Best Actress Award. Film veteran Anthony Hopkins won the leading actor category for portraying a man with dementia in The Father.
This is wonderful. I mean, I'm at this time in my life when I never expected to get this, you know. I mean, I got to a point in my life when I thought, I wonder if I'll ever work again. That's the actor's nightmare.
BAFTA also paid tribute to Britain's Prince Philip, its first ever president and royal patron over 60 years ago. At the award ceremony, host Edith Bowman and Dermot O'Leary said the independent British charity is extremely saddened by the Duke of Edinburgh's passing. Now, in business stories, most major bourses in the Asia-Pacific are trading lower as skepticism over vaccine effectiveness and concerns over surging third-wave growth. Stocks in India are leading losses as both the Nifty 50 and BSE Sensex in India tumbled more than 2%. Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index is leading the losses, descending over 1%. Mainland Chinese shares and Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index have also dropped nearly 1%. Japan's Nikkei 225 has slipped over 0.5%, while the ASX 200 in Australia has also shed marginally. Sales Kospi is trading flat. Well, with that, we come to the end of this news bulletin. For the latest updates, you can follow us on social media at Indus.News. Take care.